Has anyone else been seeing a lot more stories online about young people who are getting cancer and dying? And there seems to be like these comments that I'm seeing underneath, like, is it the vaccine and is it this? Is it that? Like, it's processed food, all of that stuff. And that there seems to be this increase on the rise of young people getting different kinds of cancers, and I'm seeing a lot of reports about certain types of cancer, like bowel cancer, for example, being more prominent around young people. But this can be quite triggering if you've got health anxiety. So this is just a quick video chatting about how to deal with what to do when we're seeing these stories, how much truth is in these stories and what's going around right now, and just how to look after yourself a little bit. Before that, I know recently I've not posted my weekly Tuesday and Thursdays for the last week. I know that I said I was going to do it every week. A couple of reasons why. I'm kind of experimenting a little bit on what's working best algorithm wise. I'm starting to feel like 2 posts a week is maybe a little bit too much, so I might narrow it down to 1 a week. But just this week and next week I'm going to do 1 video, and then in the new year I'm going to start fresh, either with my Tuesdays and Thursdays again, or with just 1 video a week instead of the 2, just seeing what works a little bit more. But if you do want to subscribe to check out more videos, subscribe below. So as I said, there seems to be just a lot more articles going around and a lot more news about the fact that there is more young people getting certain types of cancer. And particularly, I keep seeing bowel cancer the most, but sometimes it's like, oh, surprise person, person didn't expect to get this brain tumour or this or this. Now, if you watch this channel, you know that I've suffered from health anxiety in my past. And recently, actually, I've had a little bit of health anxiety about something that I have relatively under control and have come leaps and bounds with to be able to even talk about it on this channel. But how I did have a particular worry recently that led me to go to the doctors, so that was quite something. But it did make me think a little bit of how much recently I've heard about young people getting different types of cancer, and especially almost leading up to December this year. I've noticed around the holidays even more, and I kind of feel like as much as it's important to share news that's factual, it's a little bit overwhelming, especially near Christmas, when people are trying to maybe ease their mind. And there's kind of good things and bad things about these articles and this news existing. The bad thing is we're seeing stories about people who are actually in situations that are making the news. So remind yourself that if you're seeing a story about a 29-year-old who's found out that he's only got a few weeks to live, and he's got, 5 kids or whatever, 5 kids, I got a kid, 5 kids, I don't know why I said that, maybe he does. It's on our newsfeed for a reason. Like, it's news, it's newsworthy. So just bearing that in mind a little bit, like you are still very unlikely to get cancer as a young person compared to someone who's later in life. That's not changed. That hasn't changed. So try and sit and reassure with that. The other negative thing is there is a bit of fear-mongering going on. News articles want you to click on these posts, and they want you to click because then it generates the money, and generates engagement, data, all of that stuff. So there's a lot of similar worded articles going around at the moment about young people and the rise of cancer. These are not new things, and these are not new articles. This information has been around for a while. The fact of the matter is that there is truth there. There is an increase in certain types of cancers from what I've read and from what I've tried to understand from factual places online, like Cancer Research. I've tried to understand that I think more people who are young are developing types of cancer, especially bowel cancer. And there's, again, good and bad things about this being publicised. Bad things, again, is there's some fake news that's spreading to get clickbait. Also, fake news that spreads about rumours of why this is happening. Things that are like vaccines or things that don't hold truth. However, there is a positive for these things happening. For example, someone might not know that a particular symptom is something. So they might see an article of that and actually get tested and actually save their life. I hope that happens, and I hope that's happened to someone maybe watching this video. Great. If it's an article maybe about someone who didn't have the scary ones, where it's like X didn't have any symptoms, it was a complete shock, went to the doctors for a cold and found out they had this amount of time to live. Health anxiety, rising, heart rate, pounding, quite thinking through all the symptoms of my body. Have I noticed any changes recently? Any loss of weight? Is there something different about me? Do I feel like this? Maybe I need to go to the doctor. Maybe that could be me. That could be me. All of that panic that goes on, that's not good with health anxiety. It's scary to read these things. Here's some things that hopefully can help, especially going into the holidays, and I hope that maybe these articles are a bit less over Christmas, just to ease our mind a little bit of not having triggers. Triggers is something that I say happens a lot within health anxiety. You hear about a disease, and then that disease you think you have. You read an article, and then you think, oh, I had that headache, maybe I must have that. You know, it's all about those triggers that lead to the worst case scenario thought with health anxiety, and that overwhelming sense of dread that occurs. So with these triggers that are going on at the moment, where are they happening? They're happening on social media and television, actually. I've seen some on television, but not as in your face as social media. I would argue that if we didn't go on social media as much, as easy as it is, we're simply not going to see these articles, aren't we? Because they're not in our faces, they're not as much there. So I would suggest just taking a little break, if we're seeing something, maybe mark it. I've done that a few times as I don't want to see this. Or if it's an ad especially, I don't want to see this ad if it's something that's going to trigger my health anxiety. So try and tell your algorithm what you don't want to see on your feed. You don't want to see things that are going to trigger your health anxiety. So just thinking about those things that you can share a little bit. Health anxiety is serious, just as serious as any disease, in my opinion. It can literally ruin your life in a way, because it takes over your brain, and sometimes it's a smaller phase, which is awful, but sometimes it can be very serious. And as we've seen with articles and things that have happened in the news, talking about articles, but things that have happened in the news as well, about people who have even been to extreme places, have taken their own lives because they've thought they've had something and it's overwhelmed them so much, and then it turned out they didn't even have that disease. They were perfectly healthy. So there is some truth in the scariness of these articles. So removing yourself a little bit from seeing these posts, coming away from social media, maybe at least for the holidays. Maybe if you see something, as tempting as it is to click on that link, try to just not click on it. I promise you will feel better. It's not going to do any good for you. You've got health anxiety. You have that. So clicking on it is only diving into the spiral, the obsession we have with health and checking up on ourselves, that checking feeling to check that we're always okay. It's that hypervigilance. We feel like we're being responsible by reading this article, when in fact all it's doing is affecting our mental health and our mental state. So just taking a step and taking a step and breath away from that. I've had a few conversations recently, actually, which have been really interesting, with so many people but I've had, I was doing a play earlier this week, performing. That kind of the reason why I've been a bit quieter this week and didn't post. It was like a fun festive show, and I was speaking to someone I was working with, and she was saying, I was talking about what I've been working on. I've been working on writing about my experiences with health anxiety. It's helped me a lot, sort of journaling it down. And she was saying about so much stuff that I resonated with, getting private healthcare because of a fear that you had this, and hearing about this and connecting this, going to A&E because you think you've got this, getting tested for this, getting tested for HIV, which is a very real fear in itself, and a very particular one because of misinformation, I think, as well. But it's so interesting to hear how real health anxiety is for so many people. It always surprises me how many people have experienced health anxiety and how it impacts our lives, where it's something that we don't really feel like I don't feel like is spoken about a lot often until I bring up health anxiety. Often other people don't say it to me. No one's ever gone to me about their health anxiety. It's only opened a conversation to other people. So yeah, I've seen a lot of that noise recently, so come away from that noise, protect your peace, especially over Christmas. I'm going to try and do maybe 1 or 2 videos, maybe my normal schedule Tuesday, Thursday next week, or maybe at least just 1 video next week. But if I don't see you on my channel, I wish you a wonderful Christmas, and thank you for watching any of my videos this year. I love doing stuff for YouTube. It means so much to me if you've watched and liked and subscribed. Mwah.